All right, there's the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, continuing our In Your House pay-per-view review series. In Your House 17, Ground Zero. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Man, let's get into it. We got a lot to cover.
Yep.
September 7th, 1997, Louisville, Kentucky. A very low crowd for this one, less
Small
than
arena,
5,000. Yeah,
but they
very
were in a
small
small
arena.
venue. That's why. That's why.
Yeah, Louisville Gardens,
Mhm.
4,963. You had Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, and Jerry Lawler doing the commentating, although Ross didn't, it was only around for half of the card.
Yeah. Did you
Uh,
so it's a couple notes. This is the first In Your House where the name is before In Your House. So this is Ground Zero
in
In
your
Your
house.
House. And going forward, this is what it's going to be. Eventually they completely phase out the In Your House name I believe it's in 1999.
At the St.
St.
Valentine's
Valentine's
Day. Yeah.
Day. Right. So, and this is the first one where it's 3 hours now, and they bumped the price up.
Yes, they did. Thank you
They're
very
trying to make
much,
they're trying
Vince.
to make money, man. They're trying to make money. It is what it is.
Well, right now they're in the heart of that war with
Yeah.
WCW, and at this point they're losing really bad. But things would
Well, I
change in
mean,
about six
the
months.
tide is turning. They're starting to. It's not 96 at least.
No, it's
You
not.
know. So
The matches are getting better. The attitudes are
mhm.
increasing. It's becoming more extreme.
They had the SummerSlam recap at the beginning. I used to love a lot of the intros. I've said this before. At the time, WWF at the time it was called. Their intros to pay-per-views were awesome, man. When they talk about when they did their storyline recaps and stuff, this is really cool.
Oh yeah, and especially when they put that intense music
The
in
music, yeah,
there
yeah. The editing was
and
top
everything.
notch for the
Yes,
time.
it
Yeah, it
was.
was.
I loved it. It was great. It was almost felt like you were at a movie.
Yeah, cinematic.
So
Yeah, for sure.
So here we go. Opening match: Goldust versus Brian Pillman. Unfortunately for I will say this because again, not the next in your house, not the next one we're going to be doing because the next one I believe is one night only. The
Yeah.
one after that is
Technically,
where
technically not in your house, but we're gonna cover it just because it's going through the storylines.
yeah, and they were advertising it during
Yeah.
this.
Hmm.
This would be Brian Pillman's last in your house, unfortunately, because his demise in October. Um, this had a very very unique stipulation in this one. If Brian Pillman lost this match, he would leave WWE. But if he won, he got Marlena for
Yeah.
30 days.
Yeah, but how about the backstory, man? That because
Oh yeah.
in real life he actually did date Marlena prior to Dustin dating her and then eventually marrying her. And then the
Yeah.
whole thing with the kid, I thought that was kind of pushing it, man. I know it was like it's wrestling and stuff, but at the same time, like I'm assuming that was his real daughter, right? I'm assuming it was his kid.
Dustin's, I believe
Yeah.
so.
I didn't look this up, but
I don't really get it. I don't look up their
yeah,
personal stuff like that.
just the whole thing of and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but if that is his real daughter for Brian Pillman to say that's really his kid and that was his love child, I mean, if that kid is going to school, I'm sure the kids are messing with the kid, like,
Well, I mean, come
you
on. They
know.
did this storyline 8 years later with Dominic. I mean, and nobody cared about that.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I'm just thinking, like, you know how kids.
whether Dominic was Eddie's or not, who cares at this
Yeah.
point?
I mean,
But
either way, it was a good story. It was a good story. They show actually Goldust without the makeup. They show him as Dustin. They try to kind of
they
humanize
even
him
mention him as Dustin.
so he connects more with the audience. It was a
Now,
good
why
book.
couldn't he just be Dustin? I mean, at this point, I like the Goldust
Yeah,
character.
it
He
worked. No,
finally
it
grew on
worked.
me after two
It worked.
years.
It took a while, but it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, but at this point now, going forward, this is where he will become the artist formerly known as
No,
Goldust
Jesus Christ.
and start dressing like he just raided the Headbangers Closet.
Yeah, there's a rough spot there in
You
'98.
know, coming out in diapers and oh my
Dominatrix
god, with
stuff.
Luna
Yeah.
Vachon. Oh
All right.
Jesus!
All right. Well,
In any event, this was an actually good match between the two. It was funny how they try how the ending went down. Goldust went for the curtain call, but he hit the referee. So the referee's
well,
down at this
I
point.
think Pillman had hit the referee.
Yeah,
I
he
think
accidentally
right.
slapped him
Accidentally slapped him, and then Marlena jumps up on the apron with the purse. I guess it was a loaded purse.
with a brick in it. Yeah,
Yeah, Pillman grabs it.
and bam,
Yep.
hits Goldust, pins him 1, 2, 3, and according to Lawler, he's on his way to the Marriott with her.
Yeah, Lola was laughing about this.
Oh, he was having
Yeah.
a hysterical time. Finally, Vince
Takes
later
her.
on said, "I don't want to hear any more about Brian
Yeah,
Pillman."
yeah. He takes. Yeah, I know because he kept on. He takes her. He grabs her and then basically kidnaps her. And then Goldust is like chasing them. He's destroying the locker room or yeah, I guess it's his locker room. I guess he's
Yeah,
destroying. Um, I don't know about you, but watching Pillman, man, it's such a sad story because you look at him. I mean, he was physically compromised after that accident. He's not really just he's not flying Brian Pillman anymore. But
no,
the guy in the mic was top notch. The guy had charisma. He had the look. You think about what could have been Pillman in the Attitude Era. What could have been had he not passed away? It's a shame. I'm a big Brian Pillman fan, and every time I watch him, it's just like kind of heartbreaking. Like this guy had it all, man, and unfortunately, things went the way they went.
yeah, because this storyline was to continue
Yeah.
at Bad Blood
Hmm.
because he was supposed to face Dude Love um, for the honor of Goldust. I'll get to the replacement and everything that happened once we get to that in your house. But yeah, it's a real shame that this happened, and he was going through a lot at this point. I mean, what was it? Countless throat surgeries, and then the car accident, and then his leg. He was going through a lot, and it was just a
Yeah.
shame.
Yeah.
We lost a good one that year. So, moving on to the next segment after that, they had showed on Shotgun Saturday Night what happened when Brian Christopher and Jerry Lawler had attacked Scott Putski, and that's what led to this match here. Would be Scott Putski versus Brian Christopher.
That was so funny how they were saying that his son and he's like, that's not my son, all right, we kind of look alike, but that's not my son.
And they're
That
all
was like a
chanting
running
Lawler's boy.
we know it was his son, but it's just like a running joke. That was hilarious how he was like, no, that's not my son.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Brian Christopher a few years ago had passed as well.
Yeah, rest in peace.
It's like every time I watch these things now, I feel morbid because I'm watching and I'm like, half the people in that ring ain't even here no more. I'm like, what is going on with this? It's just insane. And going into this match, obviously Scott Putski is the son of Hall of Famer Ivan Putski. He's got the same built like his old man. Unfortunately, does not have the same wrestling agility as his father.
Well, in this match he tore his quad right away, and that was
Oh
it.
no no no! It was his he dislocated his patella. His kneecap was on the side of his knee.
Oh, okay. I thought I read that he tore his quad. One or the other. Either way, bad injury.
It might have been both.
Yeah,
But I do know that when he went over the rope, he was favoring it, and then when Brian Christopher did the flip over the top rope and he landed on him, that's when
that
it
was
was
it.
over.
Yeah.
And when they pulled the knee pad down, you could see the kneecap was over on the side. And this was a one and done for Scott. Never again in
Never be seen or heard
WWE.
from again. Yeah.
Unfortunately, not because he had the build for the business. Just this might have been something that he never got back to WWE. Maybe he got on the independent scene.
Yeah.
I never heard a single thing about him again after this, even on the independent scene. So I don't know. But Brian Christopher wins, not necessarily on count out, but the referee stopped the match due to the injury. It was not even a 5 minute match. So, this is where they're starting to set up the light heavyweights for eventually the tournament for the title. So, our next segment following this is they showed the video package of the what happened with the Nation. Crush and Savio get fired out of the Nation. So now all of a sudden they start up their own groups. You got the Disciples of Apocalypse headed up by Crush, Los Boricuas by Savio Vega with a lot of second generation wrestlers. You got Jesus Castillo Jr. You got Jose Estrada Jr., whose dad wrestled in the 70s and 80s in WWE, and Miguel Perez Jr., all second generation. And then, of course, Farouk has now got the revamped Nation. You got Kama, D'Lo, and now The Rock.
The Rock. Yeah. Rocky Magia.
Yeah, die, Rocky, die. So they're showing now, how they all do their thing. I loved always when they showed DOA and Crush was like, we do something else together, Vince. We sure as hell fight together. And then all of a sudden, here we go with
I hated this gang stuff. This gang stuff I thought was hot garbage. I never cared for it.
It was good for a minute, but it never. The problem with it was it never progressed anywhere. That was it. It just
Felt like they were just
stayed And then when the DOA wound up being down to just the Harris brothers, they spent their last moments feuding with the Legion of Doom, and then that was it. Then they go to WCW. So I mean, this is where Savio went. In 1995, he comes in red hot, almost at that brass ring. 2 years later, he's right about here, and not going forward. The best thing go after this was him taking Shawn Michaels' place at No Way Out and being in the main event. That was it. Otherwise, it's pretty much done for him. So we've got Farouk versus Crush versus Savio in this match, and this was, I would say, average for at least for the match. The fans, I guess they were cheering for Crush. I have no idea. It was hard.
Yeah, they actually got a pretty good pop when the DOA comes out.
Yeah, well, they are the fan favorites here, where Los Boricuas and Nation aren't. Like
heels,
at this point in the end of '97 and '98, it was everybody was fighting everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
It didn't really matter. So, I mean, Crush hits the hard punch on Farouk. Savio gets the spinning heel kick on Crush and pins him. Savio surprisingly gets the victory here, where I thought Farouk would be the winner. But Los Boricuas gets the victory. And again, going forward, this ain't going to change. At least I didn't have to see Ahmed Johnson come out with a 2x4.
Yeah, I guess he
not this night.
He had gotten injured at this point.
What a surprise! Really?
And he had already gotten thrown out of the nation.
Yeah,
you know why they threw him out of the nation? The backstory of this, real briefly, because I don't want to go on an Ahmed tangent again. But Vince basically said, like, look, you guys are too big. Like, you guys are a bunch of badasses. Nobody will believe that any faction can beat you guys. So they decided, we're gonna turn you back babyface. And by then it was already over. So that's the story.
He literally killed his career.
That's the story of why they initially turned him heel, and then Vince said, it's not believable. You guys.
It was like a month later, I believe.
Yeah, and it was over. So yeah.
If him fighting the Nation for 2 years didn't kill his career, changing him over and then back did.
Yeah, so I mean, whatever.
In any event, our next match. Oh boy, it was Max Mini versus El Torito.
No, Jesus.
Vince had brought in the
minis or whatever the hell they were.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of entertaining. Max Mini was to me. I actually liked them.
No, these guys could work. They could wrestle. I mean, you gotta give them credit. But I mean, I just didn't. I don't know. It wasn't.
He had them back in the late 80s, 85, 86, 87. He would bring them in. Remember they fought at WrestleMania, teaming with Hillbilly and King Kong Bundy. It was always funny. Lawler would always make the comment when they had the Karate Fighters blimp. He would say, Max Mini's driving it. And, I mean, the one thing that was really funny in this is when Max Mini ran around the ring and just hopped up on Lawler's lap and puts his crown on. That got a huge pop from the crowd. And Lawler's like, what do I do with it?
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
That and then biting the referee's chasing him. I mean, it was entertaining. This was a match where you go get your chips, your pretzels, your beer, whatever, go use the facilities before the next match. I mean, it wasn't entertaining at the time. Max Mini gets the victory on this one. He does a little sunset flip for the pin, and so he gets the victory. This would be for the next few months, I believe. Vince had gone to the mini wrestlers, which some of them really weren't that bad. I like Max Mini. It's a good thing he didn't do no mini championship title or whatnot. So moving on from this one, the next thing they showed was the footage of Austin's injury at SummerSlam, where Owen Hart dropped him on his head. Austin was still able to crawl over, pin Owen Hart for the Intercontinental Championship. Slaughter obviously then had mentioned that he would not allow Austin to return to wrestling. And this is where the whole thing, remember on Raw, he goes, I feel like Cool Hand Luke, I'll work within your system, and he stuns Vince. Awesome.
That was good stuff.
Oh, yeah, it was. But unfortunately on this night, Slaughter wanted Steve Austin to relinquish the tag team championship him and Dude Love had. Yeah. He was waiting in the ring for Austin to forfeit his half of the title. Dude Love came down, handed it over. He said that he could do it by himself, but he didn't want to. Austin came out. He flipped off Ross. I love this segment when on Slaughter.
I used to love when he used to go off on Slaughter, man. It was just classic. Every single time he used to go off on Slaughter.
Anybody, even
No,
Gorilla
particularly,
Monsoon.
I don't know, particularly with Slaughter for some reason. I don't know what it was.
Everybody went off on Slaughter, even DX.
But it was just the looks that Slaughter used to give him. It was good. It was just good stuff.
The one segment I like about Austin is when he looked at Gorilla Monsoon. He goes, "You call yourself a gorilla, but you hee-haw around here like a jackass."
Yeah. This is good stuff.
Oh man! And then Vince is down there, just starting. You could see it all in motion here, getting ready to work. And he stared down Slaughter. He cursed. He's pretty much cursing him out and stuff. He drops the title down, tells him to pick it up. That's an order. And I'm waiting for him to attack Slaughter, but instead he stuns JR.
JR, yeah. And he still got a pop.
Yes. Despite the fact that he stunned one of his best friends.
Yeah. That was great. Austin didn't care.
No. And then, the whole, they're trying to get him out of the ring and whatnot. This was a good segment. So now the tag team titles are vacant, and this would lead to the next match. Before that Doc Hendricks had interviewed Owen Hart and the Bulldog about it. They're still eyeballing Austin, looking for him and whatnot.
Yeah, it was cool. They found a way to get Austin on the pay-per-view, even though he was hurt. He's on the damn poster for the pay-per-view.
Might as well get him on it. He's going to draw.
At least did a promo. And yeah, Owen referenced, that's not fair. About him, what he did to Jim Ross and
to JR. He's a close personal friend of mine. Yeah, okay.
When did they become friends? Anyway,
exactly.
So they were going for the tag titles, Owen and
Yep, it was a fatal 4-way elimination match. It was the Legion of Doom, Owen Hart and the British Bulldog, the Godwins, and the Headbangers out of left field. I don't know where they came from, but okay. So let's get into it. First one's out, Legion of Doom. They get disqualified because they just started hitting the Godwins with their pails. Started going ape shit on this one, and they quickly hit the showers. I thought they'd at least be there for the finals, but nope, they're the first ones out. Yeah. Well, at this point now, they're really starting to go downhill, and what didn't help was this is what's on deck for them here is then the feud with the Outlaws.
Yeah.
So next one's out are the Godwins, thanks to the Headbangers, a sunset flip and pin. So we're down to Owen and Bulldog, which you think are going to win the tag titles, and a team that I didn't even honestly expect to be in this match. And what's funny is Austin comes down, stuns Owen Hart.
Yep.
Headbangers get the pin and the victory. This would be wouldn't be the last time Austin would make Owen's life a living hell, going forward until he finally gets him at Survivor Series. But the Headbangers win the tag team titles. Congratulations to them. I never thought I'd see that. The reign is going to be short-lived because once they get to Bad Blood, it's pretty much over for them there. But they can go down at least saying they were the tag team champions. And they went and celebrated in the crowd, and then they went to the concession stand, and they're all giving out hot dogs and stuff and whatnot. It was pretty cool. So following this, Ross was talking to Slaughter about Austin. He's telling Vin, hey, if this is how the work environment's going to be, I'm going to get the hell out of here. I didn't sign up for this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you didn't say anything when Mankind beat the crap out of you. Why are you saying something now? And in a few years, Kane's going to set you on fire. Get used to it.
Yeah.
Come on now. You're in the WWE. We're not the big boys play. You're where the better boys play. So following this now, they had a video package showing about our next match, which is the WWE Championship match. Bret Hart and the Patriot.
Not in the main event. Bret Hart as the WWF champion, not in the main event.
Well, one, he's not facing a main event caliber wrestler. I didn't agree with the Patriot being in this match, although it is justified because the Patriot beat him in an Untitled match. Yeah,
because of Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels had, I think he distracted Bret, and he had rolled him up. Patriot rolled him up. I mean, the feud, they only brought the Patriot in there just because Bret Hart was the Canadian hero and talking bad about the USA, so they brought the Patriot in. Basically just to do that. But Bret should be in the main event because my attitude is this.
I've always said the championship should be in the main event.
If Hulk Hogan was the champion, do you think that he wouldn't be in the main event, even if he was fighting the Patriot? Hogan would be in the main event. So
Hogan would be in the main event if he was fighting X-Pac.
So, and then you're putting Shawn in the main event when Shawn and Bret already have heat, where you put Shawn in the main event. I don't care if he's fighting The Undertaker. My point is you're doing everything to piss Bret off and kind of just shit on him. But that's just
because by this point, this is where they're having the back and forth with the contract.
Yeah, they had at this point, it was already known that Bret was leaving.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
This is where I said that at this pay-per-view, or at Bad Blood, since the next feud was pretty much Vader, you should have dropped the title to Vader either at this pay-per-view,
Yeah.
if not this one, definitely at Bad Blood. Forget a flag match. Brett should have lost the title to Vader there. And then at Survivor Series, go have a non-sanctioned fight. Who cares who wins? We don't have a Montreal Screwjob issue. I've said this repeatedly, man. I think that's what the way it should have went. But it's history, so what are you going to do? So now the Patriot's being interviewed, and he's like, I've got to do it again. I've got to beat him again. And so he comes out to Kurt Angle's music. Well, not Kurt Angle at the time, but this was a very aggressive Bret Hart as well.
Mm-hmm.
Flipping off the fans. Just to fast forward 1 second, and then I'll get back to the match. The one thing I really didn't like that Bret did at the end was desecrating the American flag. And when we've said this, I don't, if you want to do bring nationalities and countries into it, that's fine. Don't desecrate the other person's
No,
flag.
you shouldn't do that to anybody's flag. But I
don't like when Sean did it to Canada's flag, and I didn't like when they did it to the Iraqi flag. I know he's looking for trust me, he's got plenty of heat. But when he did all of that, I'm just like,
I agree.
They crossed the line. But I mean, the match itself was pretty good considering Patriot hasn't even been there all that long. He went toe to toe with Bret Hart. Del Wilkes was always a good wrestler. Unfortunately, WCW was just in the tag team division. And he, pretty much he's there for like 2 pay-per-views and he's out. Because then he gets injured, not at Survivor Series, and then he's pretty much done.
See ya.
There were some close times where Patriot almost did get the victory on Bret, which the crowd was really getting into. It's funny because when Bulldog comes down and gets involved, and sure enough, later on, here comes Vader. And what's funny is Vader gets involved with Bret, and Bret's looking for the disqualification, and the referee said, "Nah, I'm gonna keep the match going." Why? He got involved. It's a disqualification.
Yeah, I know. They were just like, the hell with it.
The referees were really on edge this night, especially come the next match. But and it ended in a pretty great fashion. Patriot goes for the sharpshooter. Bret reverses it, and I guess he got Patriot to say, "I quit." Obviously he didn't tap. They didn't do it at that point. The referee rings the bell. Bret Hart keeps the championship in his first pay-per-view title defense since winning it at SummerSlam. Continues flipping off the fans and stuff. And what's funny is after the match, again, like I said, he attacked the Patriot with the flag, which I really didn't like. When he was in the back getting interviewed by Michael Cole, he used the quote, and I quote, "Americans are losers. And the only ones fans that appreciate us are the English and the Canadians."
Yeah.
Oh my God!
He's getting heat, man. He's doing gotta do.
I've said he was a great heel in 1997. Just when it comes to the flag thing, man, I draw the line.
Yeah.
So in any event, moving on, the next package they showed was what led up to the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, and this has always been great stuff. Anytime they ever got in the ring between now and the Rumble. And just the segments that they've done, Shawn is full-fledged with DX at this point. He's got Rude, he's got Helms, he's got Chyna. I love that they show where he's hitting Undertaker repeatedly with the chair. He's busted open. Undertaker just gets right up, and Shawn looked like he just shit his pants. So I mean, this was great between the two when they were working together. Shawn did a really good job selling the power of the Undertaker. Sometimes I think he did it a little too much, which is why, maybe he was hit with his back. Because it looked like he got hurt during this match at first, because he was holding it and he had a little issue getting up. So I was a little concerned there, mainly because, everybody knows what happens at the Royal Rumble. When he hits the base of the casket, and it's pretty much done from there. Vince had interviewed Shawn Michaels right before the match. This was funny because this is where Shawn, with the way his attitude was, he gets in the ring, his pyro is late, and he's just looking and he's like, this is ridiculous, this is BS. And they showed this on the documentary, but they had used it on the documentary as far as saying that Shawn was getting frustrated on the time of his title reign. Meanwhile, this pyro thing wasn't a title reign. but I mean, he still looked agitated nonetheless. Um, Taker comes down. I love how at the start of the match, I thought they were going to bring that the In Your House stage down.
Yeah,
Throws him into the garden.
but going back just a second, the reason why this match happened is because Shawn Michaels cost Undertaker the title at SummerSlam. He had hit Undertaker with the chair when he was the special guest referee. It was by accident because Bret had spit at him. So that's
he had no choice but to count to 3.
So that's what ultimately led to this match. DX is not official, like they don't have the official name, but Shawn had already started teaming up with Hunter. They had done some tag matches. I'm pretty sure. Right,
I believe it comes in the next week or two on Raw with Bret Hart calling him nothing but a bunch of degenerates.
And Rick Rude was the insurance policy. Yeah, so
the guy that can't wrestle is your insurance policy. You gotta love it. So I mean, these guys, they just. If it wasn't nailed down, they used it. Unfortunately for the referees, they just kept getting beat up.
Yeah, because Rude interferes first, right?
Yep.
And then I think he leaves, right?
Yeah, and then Triple H and China come down.
And Triple H and China, didn't Triple H bring a referee down there because the referee had gotten knocked out? I think he brings him.
Yeah, and then he tries to count it. He doesn't get it, and they beat the hell out of him.
Right, yeah. So
then they give him Shawn the Brass Knucks.
Yeah,
Taker eventually finds in his tights. Yeah. They went through several referees. The tables, not ladders, the chairs, bells, just everything and anything they could do. So finally, this match, Tim White just comes down and says, "To hell with this. I'm not even going to try." It just in no contest, and it wound up the locker room winds up coming out.
The whole locker room. They try to stop the Undertaker and the whole locker room. I don't know. Was it the Rock? Why was the Rock out there at first? I was like,
did you notice his reaction to when Undertaker flew over the thing? Rock was like,
yeah,
he was doing one of those. I was waiting for the
that was a crazy move. We hadn't seen Undertaker do that before.
That was like the first time
until this point. Yeah, he jumps over the top. Shawn is on the outside with all the other guys, and Undertaker dives over.
Yeah, I think this was like one of the first times he did it.
I did off the top of my head, and this is the first time they actually wrestle, I believe, on pay-per-view at least. They had never.
They had teamed together on Raw, back when Diesel was there, but
so it was a little. The ending
was pay-per-view match.
The ending was a little chaotic. I understood why they wanted the two of them to save face, and they wanted them to continue the feud going forward.
To build up for Hell in a Cell coming up at Bad Blood.
Yeah, so this was well done.
I was kind of hoping that The Rock would hold Shawn Michaels back. Like that's one match you never got, even when they were there at this point. Yeah. And I was, you're kind of hoping you get them just to do something, but they didn't. Unfortunately, everybody's trying to hold Undertaker back. Barely anybody's trying to hold Shawn back. But this was a great fight. No, nonetheless, it was about 16 minutes. So yeah, this is going to build up to the first ever Hell in a Cell match that we're going to get in October, with a nice little twist in that one. And that match is actually going to be the #1 contendership to go to Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So I can see why they made it the main event, but I've agreed with you. I agree with you. I've always said that the title match should always be the main event.
Absolutely.
So Bret and Patriot should have been the main event.
Yeah. Overall, this was a pretty good In Your House. It was entertaining. Mm-hmm. Went to 3 hours, so now it's just basically a regular pay-per-view at this point. So
Yeah, $30 later every month.
Yeah.
Thank God I was working.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care.